Our section 3.3, Sumerian Achievements. The big idea is that the Sumerians made many advances that helped their society develop. Main ideas. The Sumerians invented the world's first writing system. Okay, this is the world's first writing system. Advances and inventions changed Sumerian lives, and many types of art developed in Sumer. Main idea one, the Sumerians invented the world's first writing system. So this is the first time that anyone in the world had a writing system. That writing system was called cuneiform. The cuneiform system involved the use of sharp tools called styluses. You guys use styluses sometimes if you have like a cell phone, like a Galaxy Note or something like that, that you can touch the screen with, or a tablet. The Sumerians first used cuneiform to keep business records. Okay, so usually things are invented because of a need for something. So they needed to keep records of business transactions like trading. So that's how they came up with cuneiform. The Sumerians also used their writing skills to write books about history, poems, and math. And here you see, this is a clay tablet. Okay, Sumerians wrote on clay tablets with a special tool called a stylus. So this is the stylus. Okay, and ours are a little bit different, obviously, but same concept. This is clay that they took from like a riverbed. They molded the clay into the size of a tablet. They'd make the size of the tablet that they needed, and then they would carve their writing into this clay tablet. The clay tablet would then harden and become a permanent record. And many archaeologists have found lots of clay tablets from archaeological digs over time. So as I said, cuneiform was the world's first system of writing. Cuneiform symbols could represent syllables, and earlier pictographs had represented only objects. So it started out with like pictures, and then over time it advanced more into writing, and I'll show you that in a minute. The Sumerians wrote on clay tablets with a stylus, as you just saw in the picture. Scribes. Scribes are writers. That's a definite definition of a scribe. Scribes keep track of items people traded and wrote down government records. And scribes could move up in social class. So scribes were very important people. Not everyone could write in cuneiform. So it was a special skill, and it made scribes very important. It was a good job to have. Other uses for writing: they wrote works of literature. They wrote stories, proverbs, and songs. They wrote poems about the gods and military victories. And they created epics. Epics are long poems that tell the stories of heroes. And we'll hear about many epics through most of these civilizations that we talk about this year. This is the development of writing. So as you can see, here's a clay tablet, and they had their writing on there. And this is how writing developed over time. So this is 3,330 BC all the way up to 1800 BC. So you can see that it started out very simple with just pictures of things. Take water, for instance. Almost look like just drawing a river or a stream. And then same thing here, but then you can see that it changes and it starts to look like writing or letters that we would have today. Main idea too is that advances and inventions changed Sumerian lives. So they made many inventions that helped their lives, and they advanced things to help their lives. The first one is the development of the wheel. They used it for carts and wagons. They can move heavy things, move more of things. They used a potter's wheel, which they would put clay on the potter's wheel and spin it, and then use their hands to mold it into the shape of a bowl or anything that they needed. So we can trace our use of the wheel all the way back to the Sumerians. The plow increased farm production. The invention of the plow is not a plow that we would see plowing the streets today for winter and removing snow. They didn't have snow in that part of the country or in that part of the world. It was a hot, dry climate, but they used a plow to break up the soil, and then they could plant their seeds in the soil. They had sewers under city streets. That's pretty advanced. We have sewers today, and it's really important and kind of gross at the same point that human waste is removed and kept away from them. Otherwise, disease sets in. They had math and science. They had a number system based on 60. Like we have 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. They had names of animals, plants, and minerals, and they categorized them and wrote them down. And they used medicines for healing and cataloged medical knowledge. So um, things that were wrong with people, they wrote them down, and they wrote down what types of things helped them to get better. Here you have the wheel, and I'll let you read this on your own. Take a minute to read this, and it just basically says how we can trace our use of the wheel all the way back to the Sumerians. Here's some other Sumerian achievements. Their artistic achievements included beautiful works of gold, wood, and stone. Here you have an instrument. This is a string musical instrument called a lyre. It features a cow's head and is made of silver decorated with shell and stones. They could play music. These are cylinder seals, and they were carved into round stones and then rolled over clay to leave their mark. So they could carve these out into the stone and then just roll it on the wet clay, and it would leave a mark on the clay for decorations or anything. Lots of different types of art developed in Sumer. Architecture is the science of building, so building things. That's what architecture is. They built large palaces for their rulers. Most Sumerians lived in houses with many rooms around a small courtyard. They mud bricks were their houses' main building blocks. So they built their houses with mud bricks. And when we talk about mud bricks, they're very strong. They were made with the mud, clay, and some clay, and when that hardens, they become very strong. And that's how they built them. And there's not a lot of rain, so that the rain wouldn't affect their homes. And that's the resource that they had available to them to build structures. They didn't have a lot of trees, so they couldn't use wood to build their homes. So they had to use what was available to them, and mud brick was available for them. A ziggurat is a pyramid-shaped temple tower, and it rose above each city. And we'll take a look at that in a minute. I'll do an animated history of a ziggurat. The arts. Sculptors produced many statues of the gods for their temples, so they sculpted. They made jewelry. Jewelry was a popular item made from imported gold, silver, and gems. And as I said, I just showed you those engraved cylinder seals are one of Sumer's most famous types of art. They had battle scenes on them. It showed ownership, like they could mark it and to say that it was theirs, and it was highly decorative. And let's take a look at a ziggurat. And this is a ziggurat that would be actually in the city-state. And just listen in.
In a Sumerian city, the largest and most important building was the ziggurat. This temple was in the center of a complex where city business was conducted. The building was constructed to look like a mountain because Mesopotamians believed their gods lived in high places. A ziggurat did not have interior rooms. However, many had a triple stairway at the front. Each of the 3 stairways led up to one of 3 arched doorways. The ziggurat was considered to be the home of the gods. The arched doorways reminded the priests that they were entering a holy place. Sometimes the platforms and even the sides of ziggurats were covered with trees and bushes. Archaeologists think some platforms were built over the remains of earlier structures. The ziggurat was not a place of public worship. Only priests were allowed to enter it. On the top platform was the shrine, or holy place. Visit the image gallery to see photos of the ziggurat today.
So only priests came here. It wasn't that people came here and worshipped here, like let's say a Catholic church would be today. Just the priests came here.
This ziggurat was built in the ancient city of Ur. The arched doorways and the shrine no longer exist. This is a side view of the same ziggurat in Ur. Today, Ur is part of Iraq. There were 3 sets of stairs at the front of the ziggurat. This is the center stairway.
Okay, now you're going to go on to complete the 3.3 assignment, Sumerian Achievements.